Welcome to Pro Tool Reviews. We just got in the Skil PWRCore 20 6.5-inch cordless circular saw. Let's open this box and see what's inside. What I want to do before I tear into the box is I want to see what the box can tell us about the tool. First off, I see 5-year warranty. There is a registration required for that to get that warranty. I rotate the box. Looks like we had a shadow line, which is an LED way of creating a shadow in order to see where your cut is. We'll get to that as we open the saw and give it a shot. Comes with an electric brake, brushless motor running at 5,500 RPM. They're actually saying 105 cuts through 2x4 material on the included 2 amp hour battery. And this is a kit, so it comes with a 2 amp hour battery and a charger along with the saw. All right, with that said, let's see what we have. All-important user manual. You're going to want to read that if you have any questions on how to use the saw properly, and make sure you have an understanding what you have here. Set that aside. Battery. So we got a 2 amp hour battery. There's a power meter. So oh, look at that. Comes with a little bit of charge on there, so we can give this a try for sure. It's like a standard charger. So no surprises here. Standard charger. It'll charge that battery up. Vacuum port. Looks like we can add that to the saw. It comes with, looks like, fasteners as well. Be able to attach that to our saw so that we can use a dust collection or vacuum system. And our saw, looks like we got a blade as well. So we have a 6.5-inch 18-tooth carbide blade. It looks like a framing style blade. It is a thin kerf, so real thin teeth on there. Yeah, 5/8-inch arbor. And we'll go ahead and install that in just a moment. All right, so there is a circular saw. Well, first thing that jumps at me is the blade is on the left-hand side, which is not so common on what we would term as a sidewinder, as the saw is. So it's opposite what we would say for maybe a large 7 1/4 corded or cordless saw. It makes it a little easier for newer circular saw users for sure. As far as the saw construction goes, it feels pretty balanced in your hand. It has a nice rubber overmold on your main grip and also your foregrip, so you can actually get 2 hands on here to make sure you can stabilize the saw as you're using it. It is light enough that if you had to, though, you can easily use the saw with 1 hand. So moving about the saw, it is a plastic upper blade housing and also a lower plastic guard. Again, that's okay for this level of saw. It actually helps it to be lightweight. The saw is largely manufactured out of plastic, but there is a metal gear or bearing housing here, motor housing, that's embedded up inside of the plastic motor case. And then also the base of the saw is stamped steel. What we have here too, it looks like we have some onboard storage for our blade tool. So we have a hex wrench here that'll allow us to loosen our nut in order to install our blade. Actually, while we're talking about that, let's go ahead and install this. Since this saw is a left-handed saw, or not left-handed, but left-handed blade saw, this nut is actually going to be reverse threaded. So don't mess up and try to over tighten it by thinking you're going to loosen it. You will over tighten it. In order to loosen it too, to break it loose, you actually have a blade stop in here. So you depress this in order to lock the spindle so that you can remove this nut. I'm going to go ahead and remove this completely. Let's see here, coming out. It's pretty long. Oh, there we go. We got a washer, don't want to lose that. Pull our guard back. Go ahead and insert our blade. Make sure you insert the blade in the right direction. In this case, it's pretty easy because the main writing's on this side of the blade, so we know that we have it inserted for the blade cutting direction correctly, the teeth cut. Go ahead and put our washer back on, put our screw back in, and push that down. And at this point, we're going to want to depress our blade lock on this back side. So we're going to push this in and then go ahead and tighten this up. And remember, this is reverse threaded. No, might help if I do it the correct direction. And go ahead and give that a little bit of a tug on there, tighten it up, and you should be good to go. Another thing, I mentioned the vacuum adapter that came with the saw, also comes with a screw. So this vacuum adapter goes ahead, insert it right here into your dust port. There it is, the dust port, and then comes with a Phillips head screw that we would insert in this little hole right here that would allow us to lock this dust port in place. this will work with your dust collection or vacuum cleaner. So actually handy to have if you have a setup like that. Definitely makes your work environment a lot nicer when you're not putting sawdust everywhere. So with that, I think it's time to go give this saw a try and let's see what it can do. So what I'm going to do here before I make any cuts is I'm going to go ahead and scribe a couple lines. I like to have something that I'm cutting against so I have an idea of how accurate the saw might be and how well the sight lines are. So I got 4 lines here, and let's see what this will look like. So I'm going to go ahead and line up my saw, and what I'm looking at is the front of the base here. There's a guide, but also there's something called shadow line. And I'm going to give you a close-up of that in just a moment. But let's go ahead and make a couple cuts and see how this feels. I have a 4 grip on here that allows me to use 2 hands on this tool, so I can actually guide it really well through the material. And I'll do 2 cuts with 2 hands and then also see how it cuts with just 1 hand. So let's make a cut. So 1 cut. There's 2 cuts. Now I'm going to do it one-handed just to get a feel for it. And 1 more. So it actually glides through the material pretty easily. As you can see, there's more than ample blade depth to get through 1x material, so you'll be able to definitely get through thicker materials without issue. But what I do is show you a little bit of a close-up of this shadow line that they have built into this saw. All right, so what I'm going to do here is show you how this shadow line works. I've already drawn 2 lines. I'm going to give you a vision or a view of what I see as I'm using the tool. And where I'm looking is right up in this spare space right up in here. You're going to see as soon as I hit the trigger that this area gets illuminated with LED lights and also gives me a shadow line to guide me on my mark. There's also a notch on the front of your shoe up here, your base, that you can follow as well to guide you on those longer cuts. But when you're getting started with the circular saw, this is actually a handy tool so you know where you're cutting and can guide your saw appropriately. And I'll go ahead and turn it on. And there you go. You can see that line that extends now down the front of the piece of wood and across the top, right on top of my line. I just moved it off of my line, but now I can line back up and go ahead and give this, run my saw through this cut. I'll do 1 more. So there's the shadow line. You can see that it's right there. I can move it up to where my line is and go ahead and give it a cut. So there's shadow line. Now let me show you what the bevel looks like. The next cut that we're going to do with the saw is the bevel cut. What I'm going to do is going to adjust my saw to a full 45-degree bevel. I'm going to verify that by the marking that's here on the bevel guide. Lock this in, and as you can see, now my blade is set at a 45-degree angle to the base. And I've already drawn 2 lines on my material, and the idea is that this should have enough cut capacity that this should drop free. Haven't experimented with it yet, so this will be my first cut. So let's see what we have. And as you can see, we drop free with no issue. Again, I'll do 1 more cut and let's see what we got. And as you can see, the Skil had no issue getting through the 2x material on a full 45 degrees. If you're new to woodworking, doing maintenance and repairs around your home, and you've already bought into some of the other Skil tools that are out there, this could be a good choice for you. This is actually what I would consider an ideal saw to start out with. Gives you some really good sight lines, as we saw with the shadow line. It's easy to use with the blade on the left side, so it's easy to see what you're doing. And you know, as a kit, you're getting a charger and a battery as well. So this is actually a great tool. I would say a starter tool to say, you know what, you can actually go and do some of these projects on your own. I would go ahead and pick up this saw. It has plenty of power to get through basic materials like 2x materials, plywood for sure. It didn't struggle getting through the wood that we did in our little bit of testing. And it also has a cut capacity. So you're gonna be able to get through, you know, that 2x material, even at a 45-degree bevel, completely. If you like what you saw here, you can get one today by clicking the link below. These are available on Acme Tools and Amazon or anywhere that Skil tools are sold. It is a good deal as you're gonna get a kit for $129. You're gonna get the battery, a charger, and your tool. So it's a really good base to get started with your Skil collection. And also Skil is always adding new tools to their lineup of their 20-volt tools. I'm curious to know, do you like 6.5-inch saws or 7.25? What do you think about this saw? Do you have any questions or comments about it? Drop me a comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, do that so you don't miss out on any of our videos. And as always, thanks for watching.